heading into week 4 of the NFL season, and so much has to change. You're looking at the week 3 running back rankings, the tier list that we created for week 3, and oh my gosh, everything has changed. Travion Henderson, guess what? The 2 Patriots running backs ahead of him, Gibson, Stevenson, you're gone, buddy. You're cut. You're sent to the gulag. You're benched. Henderson has to rise. Looking at another guy. Who? Oh, James Conner? They got him. They took him out. James Conner's out for the year. Trey Benson must rise dramatically on a short week on Thursday Night Football. We're going to go through, you're going to watch me update this live so you'll know what running backs to target. Now, we incorporate rest of season rankings and weekly rankings all in one, breaking it down in a cumulative list. Smash like and subscribe button. I hope it's not a small channel. Really appreciate every single like and every single subscription. Christian McCaffrey. Listen, man, it doesn't look like they're concerned about him getting injured when Christian McCaffrey, we look at what he's done the last 3 weeks in a row. 23, 23, 23. This dude is averaging over 10 targets. 10 targets per game, bro. This guy is breaking PPR fantasy. I mean, there's an argument that Jonathan Taylor is better in non-PPR leagues. But, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, man, in a full PPR format is a cheat code. He is my number 1 running back. It is staying that way. Good matchup, too, versus Jacksonville in week 4. Saquon Barkley at number 2 is where he was in week 3. Saquon kind of had a disappointing week. I think he's going to have to come down a little bit here in the rankings. Now, based on game script alone, you're thinking to yourself, oh, you know, Saquon, he wasn't really involved much because they were behind. You're right. I like to see him getting involved. He's averaging, 3 or 4 targets a game. I like to see the receiving role. It provides a safer floor. But looking at the first 2 weeks of the year, week 1, week 2, he only had 12 points if you exclude the rushing touchdowns. So I'm honestly a bit disappointed here about Saquon Barkley's usage, and I think I'm going to be fading him, bumping him down these rankings. Now, Monday Night Football is yet to play when I'm recording this, and when you're watching this probably as well. Jahmyr Gibbs, I just think Jahmyr Gibbs I'd rather have than Saquon heading into week 4. Looking at the matchup, we take on the Cleveland Browns. Josh Jacobs had 9 targets against Cleveland. It wasn't really effective as a runner, which is a bit concerning, but I think that Jahmyr Gibbs will be heavily utilized. I like him over Saquon in week 4. Bijan Robinson. The Falcons' offense was terrible. They had 0 points. You're thinking to yourself, golly, Bijan Robinson must have had a goose egg. No. In a game in which Penix got benched, Bijan Robinson still had a 16-point day. This dude, RB2, RB7, RB10. I think he's my RB2 moving forward. So I'm going to have him right behind CMC. And I like this S tier of the rankings. Now, Saquon Barkley has the chance to be falling even more and more as we continue. Devon Achane, he has the receiving role that you want to see. I think we have him fairly placed in the rankings. Now, they take on the New York Jets on a Monday Night Football game on 7 o'clock. It's a weird game. It's a doubleheader. I honestly think in terms of week 4 rankings alone, I think I'd rather have Devon Achane than Saquon Barkley until I see the receiving role change at any point for Devon Achane. So I'm going to actually have Devon Achane up here. And to be honest, he's not an S tier player. So I think Saquon has to get bumped down to the top of A tier. You guys can let me know in the comments, am I making a mistake when I'm doing this? But I like having Saquon and Achane where they are. Now, speaking of S tier players, is it too early to have James Cook? If you ask me, would you rather have James Cook than any of these guys right here? I mean, it is a true toss-up. Take a look at what James Cook has done. He's actually been the best running back through the first 3 weeks of the season. And we take a look, he's been a true league winner. 21, 27, and 21, RB4, RB1, RB5. Look at the receiving role. I mean, he's been averaging, 3 targets a game. That's nothing to laugh at. But really, if we look at the rushing, everybody thought that in 2024, his insane touchdown rate would regress, and it seems to be the exact opposite. His touchdown rate is actually maintaining from what we saw in last season. He got paid, and now he seems to be producing at a very, very high rate. I think that I'm going to have to put James Cook up here in S tier for 1 week. Listen, the basis of this week is everything will change. My rankings are going to get wild moving forward. No more of the cookie cutter. We're here to take stances. I mean, James Cook is a better play than Saquon and Achane. Rest of season, I'm probably still taking Saquon and Achane over James Cook, but James Cook has to be an S tier for what he's done so far. Jonathan Taylor has to leapfrog Chase Brown. Jonathan Taylor, honestly, I think he's playing better than Saquon. Rest of season, I'm still probably going Saquon here, but I think that Saquon has to fall in terms of week 4 rankings all the way behind Jonathan Taylor and Achane. I just trust these guys more to get points. JT's been a better rusher. He's also been involved in the receiving game a bit. And Achane just has such a high floor, getting 8 targets a game. Chase Brown has been a massive bum. Now, I haven't seen Derrick Henry play yet on Monday Night Football, to be determined where he ends up, but I think we'll probably keep him here in A tier. Chase Brown has to fall. Genty has to fall. Bucky Irving has to rise. Bucky Irving has looked good the last couple of weeks. And Rachaad White, he's a bit involved, but you see Bucky Irving pretty much hovering around the RB12 range on a week-to-week basis and getting 25 carries in week 3. Tough matchup versus Philly in week 4. But Bucky Irving, I mean, his usage you have to be happy about if you are a Bucky Irving owner. Chase Brown and Genty don't deserve to even be in this tier. Now, I'm going to throw Josh Jacobs back up to A tier. You might be saying to yourself, why? Jacobs just had the worst game of the season for him. You're wrong. You're wrong because, sure, Josh Jacobs' touchdown streak came to an end. The one thing I was concerned about was receiving usage. This guy, through 2 weeks, he wasn't a receiver. Bam, 9 targets versus Cleveland. I get it. The rushing rate was terrible. No rushing touchdown. He gets 12 points. Again, 9 targets. Thank you very much. That makes me a very, very happy person being a Josh Jacobs owner, seeing that he's actually involved in the receiving game. Now they take on Dallas. This is the Josh Jacobs breakout game in terms of week 4 rankings. I'd honestly rather have Jacobs than Bucky Irving taking on the Dallas Cowboys offense. Now, rest of season, I think it's a bit of a toss-up, but Jacobs' schedule does get pretty easy. He has the bye week. You got Dallas, Bengals, you got Cardinals, you got Steelers, their defense gave up 30 the first 2 weeks. You got the Panthers. So Josh Jacobs is going to be a good option over the next 5 weeks or so. Kyren Williams will stay where he is. His usage dipped heading into week 3, and then it spiked back up in week 3. So Kyren Williams is in a good spot. I have him ahead of Chase Brown, ahead of Genty now moving forward. And I think I'm going to bump Chase Brown even lower because this offense, they have to make a QB change or you are toast. Javonte, another solid, effective performance. And in terms of week 4 starters, I think Javonte is pretty fairly ranked. There's an argument you can have him higher up here in B tier. Breece Hall has to fall down a tier. He's moving closer and closer into a true split with Braylon Allen. I don't like to see that. Chuba Hubbard, I think, is going to leapfrog him based on usage and opportunity alone. Breece Hall will actually be falling. James Conner will be outside of these rankings. Rest in peace, James Conner. Now, with that, we go into the injury news. Najee Harris, torn Achilles. You hate to see it. Rest of season rankings, guess what? Amari Hampton had the receiving role in week 3. He had the break. I know, week 1, when Najee Harris was basically out in Brazil, he wasn't good. I think we saw the breakout game. And I think I'm gonna have Amari Hampton right here in the top of B tier with potential to rise even higher moving forward. Very, very big time riser for Hampton. Similarly, Trey Benson. Now, I can't throw him all the way up here in B tier, but in terms of guys that are going to have the projectable volume with the profile, I think Trey Benson automatically moves up to C tier at minimum. Would I rather have Warren or would I rather have Benson? I think I'd rather have Warren, but Pollard has to fall. Now, Pollard did have his first rushing touchdown of the year. I don't like Pollard's receiving upside as much as the guys ahead of him, which is why I'm slightly fading him in this tier. Travis Etienne, I think I'd rather have Trey Benson because Bashal Tunin is going to be creeping up on him, even though Etienne is a good start. And Breece Hall honestly has to be behind every single one of these players. Jordan Mason, as the true alpha workhorse, was elite, was dominant. He has to be a big-time riser, and he'll be up here right behind Javonte Williams. Now, who do the Dallas Cowboys take on is what you need to be asking yourself, and who do the Vikings take on? The Vikings take on the Steelers, and the Steelers defense has not looked too great. Now, if we look at who Javonte takes on the Packers defense, which Judkins, this Packers defense, they're insane. Judkins just ran for 100 yards in his second game in the league. I think they're both fairly ranked, and I like the look of C tier as well. Now, Trey Benson, comment down below. I'm about to trade Chris Godwin for Trey Benson and Khalil Shakir. Am I winning that trade? I need to know, because I had James Conner. Now I need a running back, because Trayvon Henderson's a bum. I'll talk about him in a second here. Is that a good trade? D tier, DeAndre Swift has volume, but he's very, very ineffective, and Moningai is creeping up. Kenneth Walker, in any week where Zach Charbonnet is out, Kenneth Walker I would probably put right up here between Chuba and Warren, maybe even ahead of him. So Kenneth Walker should probably be here in terms of that. But in terms of rest of season rankings, I'm still pumping the brakes. I'm going to keep him where he is. Actually, we're going to throw him up here in front of Breece Hall. And honestly, in front of Pollard, let's just incorporate the fact that Charbonnet is probably going to be missing some time. Montgomery will keep him where he is before Monday Night Football. Judkins has to rise. Judkins, I think I'd rather have Quinshon Judkins than Tony Pollard and Breece Hall. I think I'd rather have Judkins than Kenneth Walker. Maybe I'd even rather have him than ETN. I think I'd rather have him than Trey Benson. I think that Judkins has proven what we're hoping to see from Trey Benson. We're hoping to see Trey Benson come out and do what Judkins just did the first 2 games of his career, and we're hoping to see that outbreak from Benson on Thursday Night Football versus Seattle. Judkins is a major riser. Trayvon Henderson also is a bit of a riser. You have the 2 bums in front of him fumbling the ball. He honestly didn't look good in the opportunities he got, but his snap rate was up to 50%. We'll jump him up to D tier. You still don't want to start him. Pacheco has to fall. Cam Scatabo has to rise. I would rather be starting Cam Scatabo, honestly, than Tony Pollard and Breece Hall. Big time riser for Scatabo. Tracy has a dislocated shoulder. Monitor that moving forward. Scatabo had over 100 plus scrimmage yards. Ramondre Stevenson is a faller. All 3 of these guys are fallers down here in E tier. We're going to call this irrelevant, and we're going to call this bottom tier just sad. Like, you are sad if you have Pacheco. You're sad if you have Harvey. Najee doesn't even deserve to be here. Aaron Jones is out for the foreseeable future. Bigsby was traded. B-Rob is nothing. And I really think that's all we need to talk about. Like, we'll put Dobbins. Hold on, all we got to talk about. I forgot. Every week I have to add Dobbins and build this list for some reason. But Dobbins, he's been averaging 15 fantasy points per game. I think I'd rather have him than Pollard and Breece. And JCM, you're not going to know when to start this guy. I think I'd rather have Travion in a PPR league. I'd rather start him. JCM is just not somebody that is trustworthy at all. I think that's good for the week 4 running back rankings. Let's do a quick fly through of some of this. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. You guys can comment down below if you have any questions. Nick Chubb, you might be asking where Nick Chubb is. Nick Chubb is trash. Nick Chubb would be down here in the top of the irrelevant tier. Anybody else? Kareem Hunt, again, behind him in irrelevant tier. Kenneth Gainwell, Chris Rodriguez, not a fan of either of those guys. Rashad White, nah. Woody Marks, his role increased a little bit, still irrelevant. Bashal Tutin, honestly, Bashal Tutin probably should be ranked somewhere, in the middle of the irrelevant tier behind the guys that I'm talking about. But I think that's good for the week 4 running back rankings. I'll see you boys for the wide receiver, QB, tight end, defense, etc., etc. Smash the like and subscribe button.